And so tonight I want to do more of an overview, so to speak, and give some tips that I hope you can take away from that. So where do we start? Where do we start? It's always like, okay, why not right now, right here? And let's take a deep breath and be honest with ourselves. It's a time to start releasing denial and to start being a little more explorative, so to speak. So what if I asked you to ask yourself, am I really happy? And if we're really honest with ourselves with this deeper inquiries as we go along, am I really happy? And then am I happy where I live? And am I truly happy with who I'm with? And just notice even how your body responds when you ask the questions. Because we want to become aware of what our inner being, our guidance is telling us. And then also become more aware, perhaps I am holding old hurts. Those of us, many of us have had our hearts broken more than once, sometimes many times. And so we can have pieces of these old hurts and griefs still in there. And that can be affecting our level of happiness, right? And so when we stop and we release our denials and say, let me be really open and honest and raw with myself, we can start to allow some of these little pieces, because it's an ever refining journey, isn't it? We're on planet Earth. We have an opportunity to keep up leveling in levels of consciousness. And so where we're at right now with the showers of light coming in are revealing certain aspects that can be ready for a healing, if we so choose. And so this is how it was for me. There were times I'd say, I did so much heart healing. Why am I still with somebody who has such a broken heart? And it was, again, say, okay, here's another aspect to look at. And it's the ego that wants to go, oh, I did that work. I've done that. There's no more else to do. And the soul can lovingly come forward and say, here, let's relax. Know that every time you want to move forward more from your authentic soul self, the ego's probably going to put up a bit of a fight, so to speak, or it's afraid of losing some control. It wants its safety in the same way. And so the more we can honor that, love it up a little, say, I hear you. I trust my true self to come forward. So becoming more honest with ourselves and raw and open and saying, what's really here? Am I really happy where I'm at? Sometimes there's these nigglings inside that are starting to come up. Can we sit and listen to those? And then, do you believe in a grander, greater vision or future? I know some people that's hard. I've asked this of some of the men I date. I'll say, have you seen a happy couple? And some of them truly haven't. And do you have somebody modeling true sacred union, two beautiful souls coming together in that sacred partnership, divine counterparts? Because if we have somebody modeling that in a vision to look forward, that, oh, that's possible, then maybe we can believe it's possible for us. Now, in that, I know some of us might have some deservingness pieces come up, because I know I have. And yet, what is our vision? Do we believe in a true sacred union? And sometimes we're with somebody and it's not there yet, but the opportunity for that to transform into a deeper sacred union, soul partnership is possible for some. And so what do we believe? And what do you really want? The universe is always listening, but we've got to be clear. And then that sincerity of the heart behind it. really calling that forward, that sincerity of the heart. And so a beautiful practice that I love to do myself when I start getting in the, doldrums or just laissez-faire, so to speak, and when I do with a lot of my clients, is called the perfect day practice. And I'll do a mini version right here because this is so good no matter what for each one of us. If we started every day with this, just notice what comes forward, because we are always co-creating. And so when we sit in a beautiful, quiet space, and if you close your eyes, if you feel like it and you can, and take a deep conscious breath and remind the body, I'm safe here. Relax, body. I've got this. Your true self got this. And then in your mind's eye, see a part of you lifting out of your body and moving to the near future on your timeline. Down into the near future on your timeline. And as you land there, you call forward this most perfect day in your life. Time's not an issue. Money's not an issue. Anybody else's needs are not to be on the table. This is your perfect day. Take a deep conscious breath. Float into that. Trust what your inner guidance shows you. What's here? Notice what comes forward. Feel, is the sun shining? Is there a breeze on my face? Really feel. The feeling is what you want. Connect with how comfortable you feel in your skin. And in your mind's eye, you look around and you go, wow, where am I? What comes forward in your perfect day? And if you're also feel that where you are, perhaps you're in a different place. Sometimes I'm in the mountains or at the seaside. Feel there, smell the sea salt. Taste, really get those feelings into you. There you go, I can feel that. And then, for those of you that are wanting to bring in a deeper union, you can say, show me. Have that being come in from behind. I tell them, I'm ready, I'm here, I'm waiting. You can even send out a signal of where you are. If you're on certain dating apps, if you're online somewhere, I'm here. Come on in. And imagine that, envision that, feel that being coming in behind you and wrapping around you. And those of you, otherwise, just stay in your perfect day and notice who's with you and what you're doing, what's happening that's bringing you your greatest joy. There we go. I feel some of you. And you may now, and those of you calling that divine counterpart in, you may get some feelings, some senses. Just notice. Don't have any expectations. Just let that melt in. Feel that. And say, what do I need to know? Ooh, there we go. Send your love out, your gratitude to your inner being, guidance, to the universe. Anchor that in your heart, this perfect day. Because I like to say, this is me too. This is me too. It's here. It's all here. It's all within us. And then you bring that and meld that near future self into your current you self. And then be here now. Ooh, there we go. You might, if you have paper, jot yourself a note if there was something there that came forward for you to spend a little time with. So that brings forward, this clear intentions. What are mine? And where are we at right now? And this vision I may have, and what are my clear intentions in my day to day? So noticing what comes forward. And, another way I can really nurture myself even more deeply is, and as we do that, notice what starts showing up in our lives. Because, our past does not have to govern our future. Not at all. And yet we might start noticing these repetitive themes, repetitive patterns. I know I've seen that in my life. And one of them was, like I said in the beginning, I was attracting emotionally unavailable men. Well, I had some deeper inner healing to do around my father. Love him dearly. He worked a lot and he had a lot of kids to raise, but I myself didn't feel an emotional availability. And that also was, okay, then maybe I'm not being that with myself, right? So noticing, am I attracting or calling into, what's showing up in my life? Are there these patterns of certain type of people? I have a dear friend, and I'm thankful. I've got several other single women friends that are out there in the dating world, and so we can share a lot of stories and experiences and grow through each other's. And I remember, she recently went through a breakup, and she said she recognized that after she'd been with him a number of years, that she went into the relationship going, well, at least this guy doesn't beat me up. He must be a good guy. And valid. And yet, as time went on and she was in the relationship, he wasn't necessarily emotionally available. And maybe there was some emotional, I'm not going to use the word abuse, but that type of pattern in there. So recognizing, oh, here's another layer. And where was I at with when I first met this person? Are we being aware, or do we go in when we feel some of those experiences and be totally ignore some of the signs they call red flags? Totally ignored red flags. And some can be flagging right here. And then we get the experience and go, oh, I knew that. What in me did I need to learn that I ignored that big sign experience in front of me? So when we heal these patterns, these limiting beliefs in us, or the old traumas, many have been in situations where they've been traumatized and treated very poorly. That needs to be healed to then be able to attract a more healthy, healing partnership relationship. You've probably heard the saying, hurt people hurt people. And so there's a lot there. We could talk about a whole show, right? Boundaries, self-love, all of that. So as we start to be honest, releasing and relaxing our denial, and then we're getting this clarity. This is an area that needs some attention. Am I willing to do that work? And it's not always easy, is it? Any of you can share with me. I mean, it can be grueling at times to process through, because we need to feel to heal. And that's where many people aren't ready, so to speak, or don't want to. And that's their choice and their journey. And that's why an aspect of why we may self-medicate with something, because we don't want to feel to heal some of those old traumas that we've gone through. And so you're right. Thank you, Stacy. It's hard and it's so worth it, right? It is so worth it. Yes. And because of it, I mean, the people that show up in my world now are amazing people. And it's a reflection of the work that I've done. And so through that, then, can we claim the gifts? So going back to one of my experiences, going, okay, what are the gifts? What did I need to develop in me? What did I need? We call it a spiritual quality, such as patience, compassion. Most often there's lots of around self-worth or deservingness. I had layers of that. And so, when we can look at it from the eyes of that soulful self, we look back and go, okay, if I keep blaming that other person, I'm staying in the victim triangle, victim, rescuer, abuser, and the egoic state. And that is not going to fully heal. When we transcend to our soul self and we look back and we go, whoa, okay, I called this in for a reason. Let's get clear. What all did I need to develop in me? What are the gifts? What are the lessons? And have mercy on yourself, because some of this is, karmic from a past. We're tying up some old stuff and healing that. We're unwinding patterns and habits, wounds down our lineage. So always, have a lot of mercy on yourself and grace, because as Stacy in the chat and I are saying, it's not always easy. We've got to, sometimes we're groveling and, down there with a lot of tears and feeling it all. And do we have a support? Do we have a healer, a mentor to support us in those times? And especially those that can model and show it's worth it on this other side. Yes, and she said it is totally worth it. I agree. It is. There's so much more magic, miracles, manifesting of greater joy and love. And so with that, are we getting clear on what am I developing in me to add to my belief and my self-worth? Am I claiming my goodness? Or am I still too focused on what I am not? And I don't have a flat stomach. I've got more wrinkles, blah, blah, blah. Whatever those egoic things are that society and third dimension want to throw in our face that are areas of being concerned. And so developing your own value. Every one of us is a beautiful divine being with value. It's all there within us. And what kind of world will we have when we polish that up a little? Cleaning up all those wounds, sending extra love, filling in those gaps, and shining that pearl out there. Everyone benefits, right? So that you are worth the effort and the time. You are worth the effort and the time. And may you be around people that model that, and may you notice the experiences that come back in front of you because of the work you did. And now in today's energies, it's often so instantaneous. If any of you have had that and you can jot it in the chat, that'd be lovely, because I know I've seen it and I chat about it often with my dear friend, co-host Jerry. And so may you start really paying attention. What shows up after you heal another piece of an old wound, a hurt, a grudge? So in that I mentioned, thank you, my love, for joining. In that I mentioned that what I was attracting. So you may hear many of us on this show or others talk about mirrors. And I know some people aren't familiar with that term. But a mirror or a reflection, because we are all energy beings, and like attracts like, so to speak, right? And who's showing up in front of you? So this ties back to the type of men I was attracting at that time and how that shifted. And so even if you're in a partnership, a relationship, are we noticing that what they're reflecting back is something I have in me? And this is where the ego is going to say, no, I don't think I have that. Yeah, especially if you're feeling triggered, you better darn look. Well, no, you don't have to. You have that choice. But if you want to keep evolving and growing, yes, look at it. Take and go, can I swallow that pride and that egoic self and say, wow, okay, where is this in me? Because I had to go, okay, if I'm attracting men with broken hearts and unable, they got big shields on their heart, I obviously still have that in me. And I can tell you, it was sometimes been, another layer of a shield, another hole in my heart. And yet, and then what are the beliefs we carry? For me, one of the beliefs that I have been processing through is that the men or the people I care about, especially men, because it was my partner, disappear. Okay. So I didn't recognize this at first. My husband died suddenly at 38. I was 41 in a car accident. And I never saw a body and I never saw a car. He went off to work, kissed me goodbye, left, and disappeared. So that was a big grief piece to work through when you didn't get any closure, so to speak, in seeing a body and that. Anyway, after that, when the men that I really cared about sometimes just disappeared. Now, it wasn't through death, but they just poof, they were done, disappeared. And I had to start looking at, okay, if this is operating in the men I care about, I mean, other men, I walked away from and whatever, but that was the theme. The ones I'm really invested in, and they just pulled back, disappeared, didn't hear from them. What was operating in me? Did I believe that somebody doesn't stay? What beliefs and doubts am I still carrying? So paying attention to all of those pieces will give us greater clarity and areas to focus on, bring that extra love, attention, and other tools. There's all kinds of tools that we can use, from journaling to forgiveness. So after we've claimed all those gifts and going, okay, for one thing, in some of those relationships was to recognize I have value, I matter. He's not showing me, he doesn't reflect back that I matter, and yet I had to discover that I do. So it's like, okay, done, gone, because he couldn't value himself. And so then when we can claim those gifts, we can start to forgive. How many of us haven't forgiven ourselves because of some of these patterns that have pieces that may have repeated for a bit? Or I hear from some of my clients, I can't do another divorce. I've had too many. And, and the belief around they're a failure. That they can't do marriage. And it's like, what I told them, I look at it, I go, you have courage. If you tried marriage 3 times, that to me says you have courage. You step back in the ring again. Some people won't. I've heard people say, I'm too wounded, I won't even go there. Okay, that's a choice, right? So how can we look at any of those and again give ourselves that mercy, that love, go, wow, there's something here for me to gain greater gifts, skills, qualities, find in me. And then, what's the common denominator? So I'll be very open and honest here. I've been dating for, about 15 years or something. I've been single. And there's been a lot of beautiful, beautiful people I've connected with and met and known and have been in my life. And what's the common denominator if I haven't stayed in a long-term sacred union partnership? Is the common denominator is me. And so that's my goal. That's what I want. For some people, it's not. And it's wise then when you start going out dating to talk about those things, especially if you're in later stages like myself and not, the young newbies, although that's wise too. There's certain things that are negotiables and some not. Putting it on the table, show up right away. Yes, I want marriage again. If that person's saying, I'll never do marriage again, are you going to spend your time and try to change them? Or are you going to say, no, I value us both enough that you will find somebody that wants what you want. And then I too will find somebody with what I want. There are so many. That's one thing I found through all of this. So many available, beautiful beings out there. And there's no shortage. And that too, I've heard friends say, all the fish have been caught, or all the deer have been shot to extinction, or all the parking spaces have been taken. What are some of those sayings? I'm like, delete, stop, erase. What are you putting out there? No, they're not. Just go on any dating app right now. And please, if any of you are, let me know, because that's what I'm seeing is there's a lot of beautiful beings out there. Are they, counterpart for us? That's where we need our discernment and our clarity on what is it I'm looking for. So for me, I really, got clear making my list. To an extent, it's not about looks, height, money, ego, right? But what are the qualities that are important for a union? And especially if we had relationships that weren't working, then you can get clear, well, wow, I learned that didn't work. So the opposite of that is this. This is what I'm going to claim. And so for me, it's much easier. And I really want somebody who eats at least vegetarian, if not vegan lifestyle, because I'm really not going to be cooking animal for this person. And one of my ways of showing love is creating food. Get clear. What do you bring forward that you want them to receive and appreciate? And then what do you want to receive back? And so what are some of these qualities in a partner that you want to call you, that'll be more, I'm somebody that's willing to do the marriage thing or long-term commitment. They have to be open-minded. They have to, in order to really be supportive of what I do and the world that, the work that I do, the world that I live in. A spiritual person, more so than perhaps a very fundamentalist Christian, is not going to jive with where I'm at. So are you clear on what are some of these qualities that will bring in a harmonious relationship, partnership for you? And that can be gathered by our past relationships on what did work and what didn't. I loved how my husband and I, my late husband and I, could work side by side all day long, and it was easy. I love that. And to me, it was always so hot that he could fix anything you can imagine. He could figure out how to fix that. I love that. That's something I'd appreciate. So that goes on the list. It's not something it has to be, but it's like one of those appreciative things that, can help boost. And I think men, for me, now I'm talking women with men and women, we want to be appreciated, respected, honored for what we bring to the table. So really noticing, and how about, are you putting yourself out there? If we're sitting at home on our couch, well, I guess if you're online, and if you're doing online, that might work. But if you're not doing online dating and you're staying at home and yet you're saying, I do want a partner, so what are some of the ways I want to be out there, calling in opportunities to meet beautiful soul family? And it's first of all being in your divine energy, your true self, just out there shining, because as that happens, that then people just see you. And I'm reading a message here. I got a little mind. They don't mix exactly. Thank you, Gary. Yeah, I found that out. Thank you for reaffirming that. I love catching the chat in the interaction. Thank you. And so, what ways? You may even get divine download. Which sites you're to go on, or, definitely spend time doing what you love out there. If you're enjoying a certain sport, and pay attention, enjoying different groups. But often you're going to have, my experience is saying, put ourselves out there a little more and be available and open, because so often the true partners don't look like what we think they're going to look like. This is what I've always been told. And the ones I had the deepest connection with, starting with my late husband, he didn't look like what I normally was attracted to, not at all. And yet, when I spent time in his energy and fell in love, he became the most handsome man to me. And it was all there. And so, our mind and our ego can have these preconceptions. Are we being aware of those? And so, pay attention. I know, for me, I've met great people at farmers markets that have been, again, some of that, a couple of them have been twin flames, so to speak, but powerful, amazing experience. And it was right there. in a farmer's market interchange. At the airport, I've met a couple quality men, you know? And so think about, you know, what you like to do and putting yourself out there as you're wanting to call this in. And as you do your meditation, say that, tell the universe, this, you know, these are where I'm at this time, and trust your guidance. I know a lot of people have success. I perform weddings, great joy, and high percentage met online in today's world. I know when I started looking at that in the earlier 2000s, I didn't even want to tell people I'm doing the online thing. And today there's how many different programs and apps and things like that. So really put yourself, you know, out there doing what you love. Keep healing you, noticing what comes back to you, and then notice their energy. Really pay attention to the energy. There, that sense of knowing can be there. Like I mentioned earlier, I've met a couple people, and there's somebody just recently even, and I'm going, I know you, but that name doesn't fit you. So that's worth exploring. You know, is there this, one guy I met said, wow, Patty, did you notice how our energy's just locked? And I'm like, that says something. Let's explore this a little more. And so it takes courage, doesn't it? Tenacity to keep putting ourselves out there. Sometimes we take a total break, and that's valid. Let me just restore me and enjoy me. And that brings up the thought I'm having is, at one time, I didn't imagine that I could have raised those children on my own. And I did. Not only through high school, all through college, post-grad, some are married, they all got partners around the world. I was able to. And I knew part of me, because I loved marriage so much, and it was the roots I came from is a lot of marriage. And I have 12 siblings. They're all with their original partners. Okay. So for me, I knew I had to find my joy in being single. And I did. And I lived my best life. And so when we come from this need, that's also a push energy. Remember the man I'm saying disappear? That's coming. Truthfully, I didn't know at the time, because there's almost like that sense of need. And that now, you can sense that a mile away. If somebody's coming at me with almost that need, and they gotta have, it's a repelling energy. And so it's this: be who we are, be open to receiving. That's another big clue. We could spend another whole show talking about receiving. Am I open to receiving? Did I see this guy, woman, whatever? Because I can tell you, I had such experiences even there where I still wasn't believing. I met in a restaurant, in the entry of my girlfriend and I met these two men. And as we were talking, they asked us to join them. And the handsome man, very engaged, asked me for my business card, my number. And I didn't have it with me. And I kind of blew it off. And just went on, and they left. They lived away, out of town. They were in town. I live in a smaller town. And the next morning I was doing meditation. His face popped up. I went, oh my gosh, I really blew that. That could have been an opportunity. And I really didn't believe this accomplished, beautiful man was really wanting me. My girlfriend called me on it as soon as we left. She said, why did you blow him off? And so, are we seeing what the universe is putting in front of us? Are we catching that? Are we expecting it to look a certain way in a certain package? Are we being open? Notice the energy, feel what you feel, explore, step out of comfort zones, because that's what it's going to take. And a true partner is going to ping us and trigger us and bring up all of those. If we want a soul partner, they're going to mirror that for us to discover where we are, what to heal yet, what to resolve, to be in authenticity. Can we ask for what we need? All of that. Another whole show, right? So know that there's always opportunities. There's many types of connections. Being clear, what is it I want? What is it, that vision that you have? Do you believe in that? Am I getting clear on what I've gained through all of my life experiences? Because coming together now during these times there's often like this rebalancing that's happening, even within families. It's all about this rebalancing. Can we be aware of that? Letting go of the egoic blame, it's all he, she, them, they, and say, what's my part here? What is it? There's always, it's the key piece is our relationship, our union with ourself. And then it's like this, I always call it just the cherry on the whipped cream. And it's, when we can say, I believe my mentor, Master Lady Kira Ross said this, and wisdom teacher Sri Ram Kaz, I am complete unto myself, a twin soul, that soulful divine connection is an expansion. It's that expansion. Are we so happy in our life that when they show up, it's that extra little sprinkles on the whipped cream? And so take time to be with you, through your journaling, through your meditations. We've got beautiful practices on, when we're feeling triggered, that there's a tie of the ego to that hurting inner child. On my YouTube, it's, in the description here, I have a guided meditation on healing, looking at that wounded inner child in us. And there's so many layers there too. And the more we can find that and offer this love and reassurance and recognition, maybe something's been so stuffed and it was ready to come forward. Many of us have that. We've denied it so long. And with these energies coming in, especially perhaps with a counterpart with that high vibe, we can crack open pieces that we weren't aware were there. And are we ready to look at that and spend time forgiving yourself, having mercy? I unconditionally forgive myself. I did the best I knew how with my consciousness at that time. I release you from having to fulfill me. I claim the qualities that I'm needing to develop. I'm choosing to bring forward into remembering who I really am and release them. I've taken, I've done fun little practices. Sometimes there's just every man I met and dated, and even, other soul connections, and going, okay, what did I really gain here? And what's the gift? And how can I sit here and really bless them? Thank you for showing up in my life at that time. And so trust where your soul guides you. Listen. Remember, you are enough. And I guess that's kind of all I had here today. I'm running toward the end of my time. I really appreciate you listening. And, drop me a line anywhere. If you want more of this, I'd love to share more, because there are so many pieces in there that we could go deeper into, and it would be an honor. You can come and see me anytime. I work with people online. On Zoom. I'm here in Houghton, Michigan at the current time. I love to travel. And I do enjoy helping my clients with their relationships. And it's a joy. So often, it's the woman that comes first, and she finds her happy place and is more aligned with her authenticity, her truth. And then often, the partner says, okay, I want some of what she has. And so that's an option too. And be kind to yourself. Give yourself a lot of love. That's when miracles happen, for you are a miracle. I'm honored to have been here with you and appreciate this time. Thank you. Thank you for those in the chat and anybody else that catches this later. And I am Patty Markham Peterson, Light, Laughter, and Lattes, Oneness Talk Radio. And We will be back next week with Jerry Hapstreet. And so stay tuned and join us. Namaste.